Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So this morning I want to talk to people about a long-lost concept that we all do every day. We all partake in it all the time. And we all have no idea that we're doing it for the most part. And even those of us that do, we don't use it to the full capability we could be. And I really wish that I had the fortitude to actually use this kind of information to my advantage like I should be. Now, I want to talk about the etymology of a word for a moment and what most people think that word means. The word I'm talking about right now is family. And when somebody would ask you to define family, what would that definition be? I'll give you a second. Now, for me, if somebody were to ask me what family is, I'm going to give them a very different answer, but I'll give you the basic one for a second. Basic answer you're going to get from the average mundane person is that a family unit is a group of people that are blood related, usually that live together, etc., etc. Like, you can define it in different ways, but that's the basic definition. However, if you look back to the root etymology of the word family, you're going to look and you're going to find something that was left out of both the Webster's and Oxford's dictionary. You're going to have to dig very deep to find this out there. But the original base meaning for the word family is very simply a blood-related unit of slaves housed together. Now, what does that mean? It means a few profound things. One, that means that most of the words that we use on a day-to-day basis in our lives, we have absolutely no idea their true meaning. And even if you go look in a dictionary, you're not going to be able to find the true meaning of a word unless you understand the language and the etymology from which it originated from the very beginning. And even then, you're going to have a hard time figuring out what's truly going on. So, how do you apply that to your day-to-day life? Well, you have to bring something else into perspective. And that's very simply that we all partake in the act of magic every single day by simply communicating in the English language, and most of us don't even realize we're doing it. And I'm going to tell you right now that it's obvious. It's been sitting right in front of you, and when I tell you how obvious it is, you might facepalm yourself. It took me a while to come to this realization. Like, don't get me wrong, I haven't known this information long, and when I learned about it, I was like, holy hell, how did I not see this before? But hindsight's 20/20. To get to the point, what do we do when we go to, grade school and learn how to put words together, the letter arrangements? What is that called? What are we learning? We're learning how to spell, okay? And when we transcribe those words onto paper, right, what are we doing? We're writing. Okay, think about Hogwarts for a moment. What did they do? They went to school and they learned how to make spells, okay? They were spelling. Okay? How do you seal a spell and make it work in magic? Well, you have to put a write over it. How do you put words on the paper? You write words onto paper, sealing them into the paper. Spells and rites are magical acts. Ones that we partake in every single day. Every time you send a text message, you're writing a spell and putting it out into the universe, and there's energy behind that. And every single one of those words that you use has an original etymology, and most of the time, you don't know what that etymology is, and you're putting energy out into the universe, and even though you may think one word means one thing, it may not mean that thing, and it may be projecting a completely different energy than you want it to. And they do this to us over and over again in every facet of our lives. They do it with the holidays. They move holidays around, and we put our energy out into the universe, think we're worshiping one thing, when in fact the astral alignment's in a different position. We're sending our energy to a different star system, aka a different entity, a different spirit, a different demon. Okay? And they do this over and over again in all aspects of our lives. And over time, it builds up to a point where there's no way for us to truly be in control of these systems, and it's done by design. There's no way out of it. But once you're aware of it, you can start manipulating it to the best of your ability and actually change outcomes. So like I said, let's go back to the word family for a moment. Once you realize that the word family in essence means you're projecting everybody that you care about to the universe around you as a slave, which in all actuality, if you break it down in the system we live in, nothing could be more accurate, right? But it's accurate because all of us are using that word all of the time. Every time we write it down, every time we spell it, we're partaking in magic and projecting it into the world, and in turn making it reality. And it happens over and over and over again. Now the same could be said about the word no. There's a theory out there that the word no was introduced into this system from a foreign aspect, something that wasn't natural. So the computer system, whatever we're running on in this reality, whatever programming makes this place run, doesn't recognize the system, the word no. It doesn't recognize it. So every time you say the word no, it has absolutely no meaning. I can't say no meaning. It still has meaning, right? Because the word no doesn't mean anything, but let's get pedantics out of the way for a minute. There's no meaning to that word, right? So if you say there should be no war, you're actually projecting war, right? Well, how many of these words that we use don't have any meaning or have a completely different meaning? And the simpler and the more commonly the word is used, the easier it would be to project a certain thought or aspect into this system. And if you've noticed, and I find this very curious, the more and more that language has become common, the more and more people speak the same language, the more and more things have descended into chaos. And I don't think that there's any coincidence behind it, but it's very curious that that is a fact. So, the question is, how do we use this to our advantage? Like I said, there's no way for you to know the actual meaning of every single word that you use. That's absolutely impossible and out of the question, okay? However, you can take the time to choose your words wisely. You can take the time to make sure what you say has meaning. You can make sure to take the time to not put something out into the universe at a whim. Even if you're sitting by yourself and you say something as simple as, man, I hate that person out loud, okay, you're projecting it into the world. Even thinking it to a certain degree, I think, plays a factor, but more so for your inner consciousness than the world around you. Everything works on vibration, and words are very distinct when it comes to having vibration. Every word can be distinguished just by its vibrational trace. There's computer programs that can recognize what a word is simply by looking at the waveform, okay? Now, what makes you think for a moment that the same thing isn't happening with the language going on around you day by day, okay? And different frequencies are going to affect your body differently. There's been well-done studies that know for a fact that if you sit there and you scream at water in a negative way, you sit there, you call it a bitch, a slut, a whore, dirty, whatever, and you just tear into it with the most obscene and rude things that you could possibly think of, and then you examine that water under an electron microscope, you're going to see very disrupted crystal structures of that water. The way that water has arranged itself molecularly is going to look like sheer chaos. However, if you take a cup of water and you sit there and tell that cup of water that you love it, and you project good vibrational words onto that water, right? That water will arrange itself in ways that's absolutely beautiful. You can go look this up anytime you want online. Well, what are our bodies mostly made up of? Water, okay? And once again, it gets back to the etymology of the words that we're speaking. Because even though I'm sitting here and I'm talking in a kind voice, I could sit here and talk like this and have this cadence, right? But be talking the most rude and obscene things, and it's going to affect somebody. In fact, talking like this and telling somebody that they're a piece of shit and that they're worthless and that there's no reason for them to be alive and their mother should have aborted them, and being so calm, is that probably going to do more damage than me being angry and saying it, okay? And there's a lot of reasons for that, but it just shows you how easily you can use language to manipulate the world around you. And I've been lucky to be gifted with this, but at the same time, it can be very easily used as a curse. It's very easy to think that you're in control of everything you say when in fact you're not. I have to be very careful when I put together and formulate videos like this off the top of my head without having a script, because it's very easy for me to lose focus from where I'm going with it. And not only that, but I don't want to sit here and tell you guys something that I don't personally believe to be true. It'd be easy for me to sit here and fantasize about a bunch of different things and take this to a bunch of different levels. But I can't do that. I can only tell you what I know at a base level to be true. And we can go there a different date if we want, but the audience isn't big enough for that yet, and I'm working on that. I have a feeling that a breakthrough is right around the corner. It's a matter of actually honing in and focusing on getting what I need to get done and finding a way to just simply be able to communicate more freely. And it's hard to do nowadays, but I'm going to do my best to get that done. I hope this has helped a few people. Topics lately have been getting good reviews, so I'm happy to see that. I thank all of you guys for your support, and keep an eye out. There should be a few surprises around the corner as far as the channel's concerned. I'm moving in the right direction. Have a good day, guys. God bless you and your families. It's all you really have.